I'm not gonna lie. That button that is keeping the Guildmaster's plot in place has more confidence in it than I think even Hestia has given that string that somehow does what it does. This is basically the episode equivalent of perhaps we've treated you too harshly, worthless appraiser. Maybe you got cooking after all. Like, Jesus Christ, the amount of quote-unquote plot that was in our face. Best of all, Jasper's still trying to lay our boy down and take him to Pound Town. It's not even an exaggeration. That's fantastic. But there has been some characters, i.e. Hestia, who, at the very least, she's covered, so even though the boob string defies physics, I feel like, you know what? We just assume that helps support her chest region. And then there's this guildmaster who walks in with two buttons, and only one of those buttons was even putting in work. There's no bra there. There's no support. And I'm like, how in God's name? There's a lot of things I would put trust in. A seatbelt as an example. But a singular button to keep them in place. There's confidence, and then there's whatever this woman has. Maybe they're cooking with the show after all. Maybe we've been a little too harsh. But it's no shocker that the best parts are when Jasper and apparently this guildmaster are on screen. I truly think our boy should rip his eye out and just go for that as his harem. I think he'll have a much more peaceful life, but you know what? He's trying to help the tree spirit ladies with their quest, so I guess props to him, but couldn't be me. Of course, if you want to support my work, see my full thoughts on the episodes, we got the Patreon where we got those full live reactions available exclusively over there if you're so interested. So, I had a concern after last week that our boy was a little too powerful, a little too broken. There was going to be no, with each of these sisters that he ends up recruiting, he gains more power, and anything he fights, he takes the power up. He already felt like he most likely was indestructible, like what would really give him a threat? And it's not to say that anime don't have characters like this. You can look at shows like a My Instant Death ability. You can look at isekai shows like, say, Reincarnated as a Slime or Tsukimichi. You can write the overpowered characters in a way that can still be serious, or you can go the comedic route. And it wasn't that I thought it was impossible for the show, it's just I felt like the show didn't necessarily have an identity that was easy to pinpoint. So it was hard to say what they were going to do going forward with a character who had never really struggled. And based on this episode, I feel like I have a better understanding of him, so I'm a little more confident they might be able to pull it off, not in this way that's going to be the best show of the season or a show I'm going to remember for seasons to come, but enough to maybe not have me as concerned as I was, say, leaving the previous episode. And the biggest reason isn't because it had a little more silly atmosphere. That does help to make it more fun and make sure that, they're not necessarily trying to make the MC sweat bullets be like, oh shit, I'm not going to live. He doesn't do that, so that helps. But it's actually his attitude. His attitude towards this, ancient dragon behemoth thing. Apparently, according to this world's lore, only a legendary hero has ever done so. So, that kind of puts him at endgame level by episode 5, we can say. But his entire aura, the entire fight, he didn't one-shot it, which was nice. I really thought, given that he launched a Sun Inferno at the start to uncover, I thought I'd just do that again. I assume that's basically what he did inside the beast when he got swallowed, but I digress. His attitude was kind of like, you don't really seem that strong to me. He was very much like, I'm gonna beat you. And the fact that we had an MC who in most of these cases that are, I guess, more oblivious to their power would be like, oh my god, I'ma die. Now granted, he should be like that at the start, which he was because he was new to his power. But he's done enough crazy shit that I'm like, I can see why he would be very confident in this situation. Despite what is supposed to be a suicide mission for most people, he's very quickly I'm surprised he didn't pull out an apple and start eating it in front of this thing. I guess there's a slight missed opportunity, but I think it wouldn't make sense given his character. But if you had a more edgy character, there was an opportunity to do the funniest thing when this creature was left with just an eye. It was disintegrating. And it's giving its heartfelt speech. Finally, someone was worthy to fight me. You are so strong. Just to have an MC be like, you weren't that strong, boss. It would have been rubbing salt in the wounds. Now, granted, our character is very, very nice. So I think it makes sense that he just kind of let this thing have its speech and moved on with his day. But yeah, It was also nice too because when he got pushed into the guild reception area, everyone talked shit. And this was a big thing about his character in the beginning, is that no one allowed him to go into parties because the appraiser class, the entirety of his persona was destined to be get shit on your entire life. So that's why he ended up with Scumbag, who I guess has now formed an alliance with the 𝑷𝑳𝑶𝑻 of this world. So now we have Jesse and James of Team Rocket. Akidan over here is gonna, appear at face value to offer him some magnitudes of power, but I assume both of them are going to be blasting off again before too long, which I'm very excited for. But the idea that he actually had like a lot of fear walking in, like he had more fear walking into that guild area than he did walking into a behemoth. And that sounds silly at face value, but that actually, it's realistic. Like that's actually a form of PTSD for him at this point. He's pretty confident that he's going to be a-okay fighting pretty much anything. And overall, despite the abundance of fan service, like they literally had the hot springs moment in this episode. And boy, if only early 2000s anime could see how far we've come when it comes to censorship. Remember the giant white or black bars that covered up 90% of the screen? Now we actually have fog that does it, so we still see the character model, it's just they're fogged up out of their mind. Either way, it's silly as hell. I don't think this is some amazing masterpiece. I still think it's one of the weaker shows I'm watching of this season. I'd put it within a few of them where I'm like, yeah, I'm watching, I'm having fun, but I ain't gonna remember it for too long. But they did clear up a concern I had, or at least has me more confidence that maybe that concern was unwarranted, because seeing the confidence of the MC, not completely oblivious to his power, seeing where you can have more struggles when it comes to his emotional growth, especially going into places that, are naturally pushing back against them, it's, they might be cooking here. I definitely think that guild receptionist, guild leader button has more support than Hestia's boob string, which is impressive to say the least. Jasper remains to be the most optimal love interest. Literally, Jasper walks in and it's like the biggest celebrity known to man. Marry the guy. Like, he's offering, and he's gonna set you up for success. Rip that damn IO, I'm telling you. But, better man than me, I suppose. But, you know what? Despite the abundance of plot and fan service, oddly one of the most enjoyable episodes out of the 5, and I don't think it's any surprise that a lot of it has to do with the fact that Jasper and the guild master and our boy were more prominent than the others, because I think they are just a migraine. But that's just my feelings. Let me know what you thought down below, though. What did you think of this episode? Do you agree with me that, they might be able to handle the OP-ness better than, you might have been initially thinking like myself? Or do you think it's still going to be too generic for you? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout-out. So today we got Daniel Wong, Jose, Wayne Aldaquist, Chrome Eleron, Daniel Sharp, Marcel 1980, Old Man, David, and we also have Luke Brownfield. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.